any of those make sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely. The Wukong comes on through in the end. Zeri, open and available. If Abel wants to go for that one, it's a pick they've been more than willing to go through across the course of the split. And whether or not they go for a wacky support is the question. Like, Cold is more than willing to play things like the Nautilus. But, you know, we saw the Ashe support. We've seen kooky stuff out from the bottom lane. But you could also go with a priority in one of the other lanes as well, if that's something that you fancy.
Yeah, we already hit on, right? Jungle still being pretty much wide open. Viego, Lee Sin, kind of the standout. Xinjiao, obviously, we've been seeing a lot more of recently as well if they want to hold off on support pick. And I feel like for their soul laners, I was going to say, other than the Ahri, a lot of Creme's champions are like counter pick champions. And we know from Shanji's champion pool that he typically likes to wait and see what the opposing laner has as well before he commits, because he has so many champions he's willing to bring to the table.
Sivir comes through for Doggo here. Yuumi available if Chris wants to lean into that kind of Enchanted Sivir combo where Sivir just has the wave clear, so Yuumi not as diveable as historically was the case. But could also just go for a hard engage support, right? It is something that we do still see some teams going for, but looks like the Yuumi will be the decision here. So this Sivir Yuumi combo incredibly strong. Looks like Crisp a little bit of a grin there as it's locked in.
I think it's the right choice because you still have enough mid laners left on the table where it feels like they should be able to get what they want. I wouldn't be surprised if we see mid lane like target ban though. Obviously, still having things like the Talia, Azir, which Icon likes playing up into the RA matchup, Lissandra. Definitely things you can go for. OMG now though, we hit on some of the jungle choices earlier, but wanting to go straight towards this Vi, trying to get some guaranteed lockdown onto the Sivir, but could be quite rough. I mean, a lot of ways for Sivir Yuumi to just kind of keep distance, dodge out from the engage coming out from Aki.
Is this the exact same composition we saw from Top Esports earlier, or am I conflating the two games of that series together? Certainly, champions we saw from Top Esports in the first series. Lissandra banned away here by Icon, trying to remove some of that roam potential from the side of BLG.
Yeah, you're mixing them up a little bit, but I also did as well. I just checked. We had the Ahri Vi with the Sivir Yuumi when Top Esports played it. But hey, close enough, right? We've seen all these champions today. We're going to see them all in the next game as well. But now coming into bans, right? We hit on mid lane, probably going to be the target focus for the side of OMG, taking away two of those options. BLG, though, still having both the Talia and Azir on the table. Like, Creme would feel comfortable in either one of those matchups. Azir will offer you like a little bit more in terms of the 1v1, but wouldn't be surprised to see them go towards Talia, give them a little bit more in terms of agency once they hit the mid game. But now for OMG, wanting a support pick on the board, Cold right now hovering towards this Lulu. They already have hard engage in their composition.
Cold, really not afraid to mix up his champion pool this split, is he? That's going to be his second Lulu game of the split, and he's played 7 different supports one single time. That will now become 6 as Lulu picks up a second game for him. But Cold, a man of many talents down in that bottom side. Over to BLG though. They've got big damage out of the Sivir in the bottom side. Azir available for the mid lane. They need to lock in both solo lanes here. How much do they play towards Bin here? How much do they try and set him up on the top side?
Yeah, I think the Azir makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't actually be too surprised to see the Jax locked in, despite the fact that we have things like Gnar still left open, which are obviously very blindable, just because of the champion Shanji's been willing to show he can pull out, right? Things like the Sejuani still being available, things like the Shyvana, maybe going towards this more comfortable matchup, and then having this champion that can play side lanes, opting into the 1-4 strat, just looks like BLG getting a lot of comfort across the board, on top of, you know, a lot of strong champions like the Sivir Wukong.
Absolutely. We'll see. Oh, Kennen. Kennen could be the answer, right? We've seen it from Shanji a few times. Does well into the Jax. Does well in the team fights as well. And I feel like OMG's team fight actually looking pretty good, as well as their pick potential looking pretty good. I feel like BLG do have the... Oh, okay. It's not going to be the Kennen anyway. It will be the Sejuani. I feel like BLG do have the fundamentally better team fight, right? With a Sivir and an Azir with a Wukong to set up your hard engage. Like, there's a lot of just... Go in, CC everyone, just one-shot them with your sustained damage here. But on the other side, OMG certainly plenty of pick potential.
Yeah, and when I look at these, I mean, I think it's very clear that BLG just have the superior scaling coming out, especially in terms of just raw damage numbers and the amount of DPS they'll be putting out later. If BLG can survive the initial engage coming out from OMG, which, I mean, heck, you have Yuumi ultimate, you have Sivir ultimate, you have the Emperor's Divide coming through. Like, you should be able to push them off if they find the engage. Then BLG will win out. OMG need that engage to connect. They need to be able to find those picks. And I feel like you're relying heavily on both the Vi and the Sejuani to actually get things going. So might need to see more play around vision and finding interesting angles coming out from OMG.
Yeah, we'll see if they can find those angles. They certainly have in the past, right? This is a team that have managed to find ways to win games that you wouldn't necessarily expect before. And I mean, looking at the lane stats across this one, OMG certainly in a very good spot in terms of that one. I want to see BLG's game plan, though. I'm keeping my eyes on WeiWei in this early game, how he's able to influence things, because I feel like he's got to focus on that top lane. Bin and WeiWei trying to shut down Shanji.
Yeah, for the side of BLG, I feel like it's a lot about covering for WeiWei, making sure his lanes are comfortable, getting like a neutral line of vision down in river, and just spotting out anywhere that Aki goes. But I think you could expect some aggression coming towards the top side, especially post 6 when the ultimates come online, and Jax not being the most durable champion, despite the Counter-Strike and the ultimate able to come through.
All right, we're on to the map here. It's playoffs on the line for OMG. Fighting for seeding. There's still the potential of a top 6 spot for them, but for BLG, their lives are on the line right here. They are desperate to make it to playoffs, and if they lose here 2-0, they will be eliminated. OMG wanting to finish this one off quickly, and already look at the bottom lane here. Both AD carries going with a cult to start this one off.
So both acknowledging going to be a little bit of a slow one, right? Neither actually having a great way to force 2v2 action early on anyway, even if they wanted to, right? No engage coming out for them. And we've kind of already hit on that. I feel like a lot of action wanting to come around your top side. OMG having a little bit more options considering you have the Ahri, so having things like Charm for setup if you did want to look mid, but Azir, of course, very safe. And then I think top lane could be the match where, I mean, for Sejuani, wanting to look for these quick burst trades, then get out before some of the sustained damage from Jax comes through. And for Bin, it's about being able to connect it. So both junglers maybe going to be looking towards there, but actually Aki pathing down towards his bottom side to start things off.
This is Cold and Crisp going to be trading on the Enchanters, just getting the Spell Thieves off for both of them as Abel and Doggo fight over priority in that bottom lane. WeiWei moving up to that top side, though, and I'm curious what Shanji will be able to do about it. If there is a lot of pressure coming out, Bin, we know, an aggressive laner, right? Like, this guy, when you give him a single opportunity, he will take control. He will take over a laning phase. So Shanji will have his work cut out. And crucially, we mentioned it before, right? When we were talking about the way that these two top laners play. With Bin, it's very much about dominating that laning phase. But a lot of the solo kills that Shanji has found this split, even though he is the solo kill leader, and you can see that on the stats that have just popped up, a lot of those solo kills have not actually been during the laning phase. So we'll see how these two match up.
Yeah, gonna see how they're able to do it. Not too much action coming out so far in terms of like junglers posturing towards any lanes. Both just kind of opting into these full clear setups so far. There's a potential opportunity for Aki in bot side, considering that Doggo and Crisp are pushing out. They do have some shallow vision, right? But by the time Aki would get in a position to be where the ward is, you'd feel like a gank should be able to come through. But looks like they won't opt into it. And Munch, I have a feeling this series is gonna be quite different from our first one, which did have slower early games. But once the action came and punched, it punched hard.
Oh, yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. We had a slow build, but then once we got into it, it was an absolute bloodbath, honestly. Just pure carnage. And to be fair, it was very one-sided carnage. Top esports kind of just taking over. Well, that's not quite fair. LGD and Game of the Team did have a good showing, but it never quite felt like LGD were going to win, you know?
Sorry, I thought there was going to be like a follow-up to like build up LGD or something, but yeah, LGD definitely never in a spot to be able to take down TES, and OMG probably not in a spot to be able to take down Icon. OMG were the ones that we highlighted kind of having more potential opportunities with the draft that they've gone for. And you can see Aki looking to maybe potentially cheese WeiWei right now. He needs to be careful, though, considering that Icon's the one that has pressure in mid and bot.
Yeah, well.
Oh, he just missed him.
Aki, yeah, I don't think he quite is able to stop him there. Aki gets back to base and moves back up to his top side. Unlucky there for WeiWei. If he could have stopped the recall, that could have been huge, honestly. I don't know if he could go for the 1v. I mean, Lyric, who wins the 1v1? Wukong or Vi? I genuinely have no idea.
I mean, to me, like in a situation like that, it's just more about the pryos coming through. The fact that BLG have 2 lanes of prio, I'm surprised that Aki even put himself in the position to recall so aggressively in the first place. I guess the benefit now, looking at the minimap though, right? We have 2 deep wards for the side of OMG. So at least knowing now where WeiWei's path is going could open up those windows for Aki to link up more with his lanes.
Moving down, just getting some vision as well, though. Won't go for any kind of play on the bottom side. First Drake is up on the map, and like you said, BLG, a lot of priority to work with. But as we've seen over the last couple of days here on 12-14, teams loath to start Drakes off too overzealously, right? They do not want to get caught out. Drake's a lot harder to take than previously. There's a bigger reward for it, but you do have to make sure that you're set up in the right position to be able to pull those objectives off. So in the meantime, no one looking at that one as Crisp and Doggo doing a good job to get pressure down in the bottom side. Crisp trying to finish off a tower plate by himself on the Yuumi.
Yeah, Crisp. I mean, heck, Crisp has just been so exciting, Munchables. 1 turret play, definitely the essence of what Crisp has been, which is the coolest player on BLG. Sorry, the rest of BLG. But hey, OMG starting off Drake.
You've always been a Crisp simp, though. Like, it's his hair, isn't it? You love his hair.
I love how edgy Crisp is. 2, he's just always been one of the best supports like in the league, right? Since like the domination of FPX back in the day, Crisp has always been a top guy. And I don't know, Crisp and Ming will always have the heart.
Absolutely. Top players as WeiWei gets polymorph, tries to face check and punished for it. Only has to use the clone, though. No summoners as OMG try and find themselves a pick off the back of the Drake. We talked about how teams are loath to start the Drake. Apparently, OMG, not so much. Willing to just go for that one. The Lulu and the Vi working as a pair to grab themselves the first Drake of the game. And there's a Hextech Drake as well. That one got a big old buff.
And OMG have been one of the teams that have had like a bit more time since they've last played coming into this match as compared to like a team like, let's say LGD, right? Who not only played today, but played the day before yesterday. So maybe coming in with either a better idea of how they think they should be playing the patch and feeling comfort going for things like those early dragons.
Yeah. Feels like they're just comfortable across the board, honestly. OMG very happy with a fairly slow one here, especially with the Zeri down in the bottom side. So once you get to the mid game, once you start to get ults across the board, like when Aki gets an ult, that's when it's no longer comfortable to play slow. Like, you've got a Vi, you want to be making plays with that big old ultimate.
And now, right, now Aki 6, now Creme 7. We haven't had anything in the first 7 minutes of the game. Shanji having his ultimate online as well. With Herald coming up in 30 seconds, this is typically when you want to see champions like this actually look for the fight. Whether it's Aki like angling up towards top side first or using the Sejuani ultimate to try to lock up the Jax and get an avenue from River there, or, you know what, playing through mid first and making your way. It feels like they definitely have the tools. Now I just want to see them execute. The one thing that can get in the way is BLG's bot lane having so much pressure and having so much pry on the bot side if they did elect to move up.
Yeah, feels like they possibly could go for that old lane swap and try and fight for the Herald, try and set that play up. But I don't know, I feel like we've seen teams loath to go for the full-on lane swap. It feels rare to see that these days, and you do sometimes see the bottom lanes moving up, but more often than not, I would say they return to the bottom side, right? More often than not, it's just a wave pushed by the other bottom lane, and then you see them return, you see them just trade in the waves, and they'll maybe lose 4 CS for the initial roam, but it never actually comes to pass. I feel like, honestly, most games in my personal experience of LPL recently have been fairly low on Herald fighting.
Yeah, and I think especially when we're in this game, right, where you have like a Yuumi support to where Yuumi isn't just going to move around her own. You would require your full bot lane to move over. OMG not being pinned down in the same way to where they can just do what you're saying. You leave your AD carry down, you move your support up, and that's opening up OMG to just take this outright. BLG are kind of in the area, but I don't know what WeiWei expects to do.
I mean, the Herald's already taken, so if they look for anything, it's just for picks at this point, or maybe for that Scuttle Crab. Gonna deny some vision here. BLG trying to take control of the area after the fact, but ultimately Herald's already gone down. Able, surviving in that bottom side. 2 plates taken, though, by BLG. With Cold gone, was an opportunity there for BLG to punish down in the bottom side. And you can see a pretty sizable CS lead for the Sivir as well.
I mean, they have been full on, right? They've been keeping the aggression up in this 2v2, constantly keeping that ricochet going. Doesn't matter that it was nerfed a little bit with the pushing power, with the damage to minions. Still just able to keep that one going and keep the pressure forward. So, you can use that prio to turn this into a blue buff. And Munch, I gotta say...
Lyric, I want something to happen!
Whoa. I was gonna say, BLG right now, they're like you're watching a fine Bob Ross painting. A little bit slow, a little bit sensual.
Well, if we're gonna watch Bob Ross, then I want OMG to beat the devil out of him. You know, like there's a bit of aggression in Bob Ross sometimes when he's changing colors. I want to see some color change right now.
Hey, Bob Ross actually has some pretty aggressive paintings. If you ever go and see some of them,
Yeah,
so
I've watched a lot of Bob Ross. When it first came out on Twitch, honestly, that was like my favorite channel for a solid like half a year, basically. That was like my D-tilt channel. Whenever I was tilted from solo queue, I'd just sit and watch Bob Ross for a while.
So what you're confirming is that if you want to D-tilt, you just watch some BLG games, right? Yeah?
I don't know if I go. I never said that they're the Bob Ross of the LPL. You said they're the Bob Ross of the LPL. They don't have nearly good enough afros to pull that off.
I agree. This is kind of depressing. I don't even know if we have any players.
BLG don't have afros?
Yeah, do we have any players with afros?
We've got Steak. He's not a player, but he's got an afro.
But Steak always shaves his head, which is kind of depressing. You know, Steak, also hilarious guy.
Okay, hang on.
No anecdotes on why he's a hilarious guy, but he is, trust me.
I've heard that he's a hilarious guy. I want to ask you, though, so me and Orcs discussed this at length a couple of weeks ago. Who do you think has the best hair in the LPL? If you can name a player in terms... We did it! We started a different conversation. We forced action to happen. It works every time, Lyric.
I know. I feel like there's 2 ways to get things to happen in the LPL, which is just start talking about random nonsense, or 2, when like you want to actually give analysis or break something down. That's always when something happens, and WeiWei going in.
Or when you break down how the breakdown happens, BLG using that final chapter. OMG into the pit. It's taken by BLG. Can they escape is the question. Flashes across the board. OMG not going to follow.
Yeah, still, BLG pick up the objective. They do lose a ton of summoners for it, to where not too much blown on the side of OMG. Able did use the Ghost. We lost Teal and Cold, and some ultimates were taken off the board, but... I mean, heck, BLG could be happy to get out of there scot-free when we've already hit on the scaling nature of their composition. And, I mean, going into mid-game even would be a win for the side of BLG.
Yeah, it certainly... I can't believe we still don't get a kill, though. I will say, I'm a little disappointed on that one. I thought, we could 4v4, we're going to fight the top side. No kills come on through in the end. But, crucially, a Drake apiece. Herald still in pocket for Aki. He's running out of time. Needs to get that slam down, and it will just come down in the mid lane here. Looks like Creme realizes he's not going to get any of this gold. It will just be a Herald charge onto the mid plates. And, 300 odd gold taken by Aki.
Overall, I think solid place to drop it as well. You can see their bot lane's been facing a lot of pressure. Like, Bin's been doing pretty much whatever he wanted in this topside matchup. And going up against so much wave clear in Azir Sivir. Getting this mid lane turret broken down with Rift Heralds really feels like the only way for OMG to go about it. And for BLG, we kind of said, right, WeiWei's most important job is just making sure that Aki isn't able to get anything done. He's been able to do it so far, but Aki might be able to find Icon.
Icon's in trouble here. The cease and desist used, but Icon
Oh.
still has his ultimate. The flash comes out, and it's actually Aki in trouble now. Tries to get over the wall, but denied, not able to do it. And WeiWei finally gets first blood.
And for Aki, I mean, instantly flashing over, I think he did it so quickly, not even really registering in his mind that WeiWei was there as well. Really nice reaction speed coming out from Icon. I mean, heck, had that flash even been like 0.25 seconds later, Creme would have been able to connect with that charm.
Take another look. Take another look at the players. Icon starts with the little slide to get on over the flash.
That's the key part, right? And yeah, I feel like Aki, not even enough time to really register that WeiWei was sitting over that wall by the time he flashed over. So kind of just committing a little bit too deep, hoping they could find that kill and giving BLG exactly what they wanted.
Really nice for BLG. First kill of the game, and crucially, a minuscule gold lead of 500, but it's better than 0. It is better than 0. 1 Drake apiece, 2.5 minutes until that next one comes up. And Lyric, I have a feeling that this might be a Drake Soul game. I don't know what is telling me that, but I think these two teams might end up like 3 Drakes apiece fighting for Soul. I don't know why I think that, but we're going to be here in 30 minutes time. We're going to be at that part of the river. We're going to be watching posturing and then them fighting for the Soul. I can tell. I can just feel it in my soul.
Look, our longest game of the split so far, 56 minutes. LNG versus LGD. Can we outdo the record? Can this be the night?
I really hope not. But I guess we'll
everyone,
see.
that is a vibe. I think everyone completely agrees with that.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Hey, BLG would be fine if this went to 56 minutes.
They would. They love really long games. BLG have always loved really long games. I feel like they got the title taken off of them by LNG this split, though. LNG were kind of the most just long game, nothing happening team of the split, whereas BLG, that was their title back in spring. But OMG gonna contest here. Creme down to half HP, misses the charm, but OMG on the Herald. WeiWei forced out of play here, forced to clone. And the smite taken down by Aki. Nicely done here. OMG get themselves a Herald, but they lose the tier 1 tower in the bottom side for it. And maybe a little bit more as another wave will be taken here by Doggo. He's out of mana. I think he has to back away.
You know, great job by BLG's bot lane. Kind of sucks that BLG were also trying to posture and get that Rift Hill for themselves, because with this turret going down, right, this could have already been like if WeiWei and Icon were in the area getting deep vision in the enemy jungle, because Dragon, engage comes through.
Here we go, charm there, Icon, the Empress
He escapes?
He actually escapes! Icon uses the power of Shurima and just kicks everyone away.
Yeah, Icon, I mean, the fancy feat there. And you look at the minimap, BLG, the Rift Herald is going to get the charge, but still having Doggo, WeiWei, and Crisp already here, he's going to be able to push in this wave and try and contend with being able to get in the spot side river. Looks like Aki might not even care too much about Drake, because heavy pings are coming out on top lane right now around Bin.
Oh, the reset just finished there by Creme. That was a little dicey. I think Doggo maybe could have finished them off if they did cancel that reset. You know, Doggo already on Crack Slayer and PD, 16 minutes in. That's the one thing. When you have slow games like this, and you got Doggo at 194 CS at 17 minutes, that's a good look for BLG. That is a terrifying Sivir, considering he's basically not been part of any plays. Just able to finish that tower by himself at that bottom side. He's very happy with that.
And that plate gold's a difference maker, right? Because Abel actually isn't really too far behind in CS. He had the call as well. And he was just sitting short of the components of Phantom Dancer. And now they're built to spin. Nice flash to be able to dodge out, but still, Summoner Burnt is going to be a pain point that OMG can look to rinse and repeat on. And during the time that OMG were giving up Dragon, look at the top blue side jungle for BLG. It's completely littered with wards.
Doggo's just going in. He's caught out and he just goes aggressive onto Cold. It doesn't work out. Now Crisp escaping onto WeiWei, but Abel doesn't want to let him escape. Aki chasing it down as well. The clone falls. Creme now entering the fray too, but Icon stopping them. Abel will not be stopped. Chasing onto WeiWei, denies the blast cone, but I think WeiWei will escape with this one. But a laser, another blast cone. Abel kicking BLG out of their own jungle.
Abel also not wanting to go at this pace of the game, wanting to speed things up, just completely runs them down. But let's remember that BLG were kind of the initial ones to commit for that play.
Yeah, I mean, it was Doggo going aggressive onto Cold to start things off. Let's take a look. As, Doggo sees Cold, dodges the laser, just goes in.
Yeah, goes in, gets knocked up, doesn't expect Aki to be here. Just a little bit overzealous looking for this play and giving the windows for OMG to be able to chase this down and go in.
No.
Great flash by Aki to try to find the lockdown and be able to keep pushing forward as well, but not able to find any more kills off the follow-up.
Yeah, hits the clone. And Creme gonna look for Doggo here. Doggo does still have flash despite that previous play, and immediately on the hunt, just going to be used to try and escape from the plate. Remember, on the hunt, actually very short now. You can see the movement speed was already done by the time he was back in the mid lane. It can be longer, but only if you're getting takedowns. The ult duration is extended.
Yeah, definitely relying on trying to snowball through these fights, finding kills quickly. But speaking of finding kills quickly, I think OMG might be able to do that against Spin, but TP coming through to stop that. And honestly, even with the slower game, Icon delivering so far. Cold might be caught out.
Oh, nice route there. Big damage on Cold. Should be finished off, and WeiWei, the one to grab the kill credit in the end, has his Divine Sunderer. Could go towards the Kenpunk Chainsword himself as that second item. In the meantime, Doggo pushing in the mid lane. Does feel like BLG are more in control of this game. Aside from that random pop-off play from OMG, I feel like BLG have been the ones pushing forwards on the map.
And heck, we've already seen from just Icon alone how hard it is to like get that engage to stick on members of BLG. And right, that is what OMG need to be able to find the win, because BLG can outrange them. They have enough peel and zone control to be able to keep them at arm's length and out DPS them. So the fact that BLG have already been the team kind of finding command and control, not really a good sign for OMG. But for BLG, who can't even drop a game, so far this is going at the perfect pace for them.
Yeah, they like this. They've got an Azir, they've got a Sivir, and also they are practiced at the slow games where they end up in front-to-back 5v5s. Like we were saying all through spring, right? That BLG were like the LCK team of the LPL, where they wanted to play slow, they wanted to take things steady, they wanted to be really good at farming, which, I mean, look at the numbers. They're definitely good at farming. And just build up 3 items, then go for the 5v5 team fights. They've got an advantage in terms of the Drakes as well. They've got a small gold advantage to be working with. Nobody's falling apart during the laning phase, which was the big concern, realistically, against OMG. It's all looking good for BLG.
You know, and it brings me back to 2019, which is when they truly, like, felt like the, again, quote-unquote LCK team in the LPL, back when they had, like, ADD, Kuro, Meteor was still on the roster. Oh my God. That was incredibly close.
That was as dicey as it gets. I didn't even see if that was Abel or Cold who was almost taken down, but ultimately it doesn't matter. Now the opportunity for OMG. Creme with big damage onto WeiWei, chased down by WeiWei himself, and Aki falls. Doggo with big damage, but now onto Abel here, who's trying to finish the health bar off. Doggo gets some zoomies. He's turning this one around. Running to the team, finally falls though. Now the rest of BLG in full retreat. Still 4 strong, but Creme wants a little bit more. Big stun onto WeiWei, the follow-up from the rest of OMG, but the Sun Disc denies further advancement.
Still 1-for-1 overall. I mean, BLG losing their AD carry, definitely a big hit in terms of the damage potential that's able to come through. And the fact that no members of BLG were able to follow up on Doggo and Chris being so far in is pretty tragic, right? Because they were surviving for such a long time, but nice from Shanji and Creme to be able to play keep away.
Oh no. Has CP'd in. He's against 2 solo laners here. Creme still has the TP if the team needs him. Crucially, Drake spawning in 5 seconds time. Been able to clear that wave. Able to try and find some presence on the map for BLG, because it felt like OMG had control off the back of that fight. But BLG have managed to muster some control of this river. Yeah,
using the TP to be able to answer the wave quickly and kind of be able to match the timing window of OMG being on the map. Sure, they don't have Sivir, but you have a lot of ults down for the side of OMG.
Bin face checks in. That's half of his HP gone. It's not a pick, but hey, OMG will take that half of a player's HP. Chris does have a lot of sustain for his team. OMG are desperate to find their way in. Shanji, the front line. He has to go first. In they go with a pick. Looking for Bin, and he's taken down already. 4v5 now, but Doggo is on Sivir. Keep your eyes on those boomerangs as he's focusing Shanji with the Kraken Slayer here. One for Abel, though, on the other side. Creme, the next target. Doggo goes down, and it's Abel to look out for instead. Chris to fall. Icon alone in the world with the legacy of Shurima. Here to make the play. Icon goes over. Abel goes down, and BLG live on.
And Icon is trying his hardest to pull BLG across this team fight finish line in situations where they should be favored. But Bin walking a little bit too far forward, not expecting that brush play, but Munch, it's actually not stopping.
Icon will not let this game go without a fight right here. Aki forced away from the Drake by the TP from Icon. Man, where was this Icon all split? We saw him come in, we saw him be proactive for BLG, but not at this level.
And we see here, right, they all in on been great coordination from OMG. Numerous members jumping at the same time. WeiWei trying to go into lock people down, but look how, like, separated Doggo is. And he keeps running forward against champions like an Ahri, against other champions who are able to get involved, get in his face, and just ends up going down, leaving Icon to have to make these hero plays and bring it back. Aki actually flashing in, which just opens up the opportunity for Icon to go over the wall, isolate these other two members, and find kills.
Absolutely beautiful from Icon. And crucially, that play has set BLG up now with 3 Drakes. They are on Soul Point as we broach the 25-minute mark, but OMG not looking to slow the pace of the game down at all. 6-6 on the scoreboard. They have a minor gold lead. They want to go for the Baron.
They have an item advantage on Abel as well, so should be feeling incredibly strong. But Aki's getting taken so low, and with Cyclone back up, I think OMG just have to back out.
And man, like, how do you fight against Azir Sivir in a Baron pit? It's just impossible. The amount of cleave damage that will come out from BLG during these fights is purely just terrifying, honestly. Like, I don't think that's winnable. If you're in a Baron pit or a Dragon pit, you cannot fight BLG.
Honestly, I feel like it shouldn't be winnable for OMG, but I feel like this has been a pretty rough game from Doggo so far with positioning, right? And I mean, he just walks a little bit too far forward. Sure, we've seen Icon actually is enough to be able to save the play for the side of BLG, but that's not the position you want to put yourselves in.
Great with the charm onto WeiWei, but Clone keeps him safe. Tower goes down in the mid lane here as Shanji tries to find some pressure on the bottom side to answer. But it is BLG still ever so slightly behind on gold despite that tower going down. It's still about 1,000 gold lead for OMG. But again, I do favor the scaling on BLG. Like you say, Doggo not having the best game of his life. Whereas Abel, during these fights, he's been an absolute monster.
He's huge, and I mean, just look at the items, right? Like, looks like Doggo was finally able to get that 3rd item, so slowly starting to catch up. But the fact that Abel's been sitting 3.5 items for so long, just a testament to how strong he's been. Tons of sustain coming through. We're hitting that 60% crit point for both AD carries now, also having the IEs in pocket. So it feels like that's what's going to be down to, right? It's going to be a battle of the AD carries. The thing for BLG is you kind of have like this double threat composition with the Azir. Even Bin can be a nuisance to the backline, to where for OMG, it really is all on Abel. Like, sure, Creme went towards the Ludens. He also picked up the Void Staff, so going to be doing more damage than if he had went the utility route with the Everfrost, but still might not be enough.
To see Abel, a lot of pressure on his shoulders. And I have to say, I have been impressed by Abel this year. He came back into the LPL, and my expectations were not particularly high. We've seen other old school LPL AD carries come back into big teams and not really perform. But I feel like Abel, in terms of mechanics and stuff, has been pretty on point. Managed to survive here. Cold the next target. Wild Growth going to be used as Aki goes in onto Doggo to answer the play. Big damage there, but trades it for his own life here as Creme goes in with the Spirit Rush. Abel now trying to get damage down, but he's gone too deep by himself. Will be taken down here. Icon with another kill. See-Bye over the wall. Aki has to back away. OMG on the wrong side of the play, though, and BLG with a numbers advantage could look for more.
The good thing for BLG is the fact that they have that Yuumi so they can get some of their health back up, because they did get chunked quite low by that initial rundown they tried to do of OMG. They might keep going, though, and Aki going for the reset. BLG don't know this. I think that there's a ward in the Raptor pit, but I feel like they could have gone a bit more aggressive had they known. Instead, they're going to turn straight onto the Baron and try to force OMG in, because Abel, their big damage dealer's gone. He's the one we were saying that they rely on.
They probably don't want the Baron here. They probably want a team fight instead. Aki over the wall will be able to contest, and BLG back away. Luckily, OMG don't go too aggressive on this, or just threaten the 50-50, and that's enough to force BLG away.
And for BLG, I mean, to where for other teams in other situations, I'd let the desire take over, and I'd be like, flip it, BLG, give us something. Let's see what happens. They're on Soul Point. They don't need to flip anything. They have the superior scale. Like, back off. You're making the right call. Try and clear out some of this vision that OMG have put back up, and they could look to take that fight. We'll go straight into the replay. BLG wanting to go aggressive on Abel, but the fact that he can dash out, then in my mind, they kind of overcommit to this top side of the fight, give over the angle for Aki to find and engage on Doggo, and are very lucky that Bin gets so close, actually cues into Aki, and then is able to flash on top of the Zeri. So great job coming out from Bin to find and set up that positioning.
Yeah. OMG now grouping up in the river. They want a pick, but it's a clone. Shanji denied by WeiWei, and I feel like we've seen that passage of play so many times today. Bin trying to get priority in the bottom side, backs away. Will not be caught. BLG in the river. Aki goes in. Final chapter across the whole team, though. Big knockup from WeiWei, and Bin with a huge counter-strike. BLG find the 5v5. They find everything they could need. Icon with a triple, and if he doesn't get an MVP, I will eat my hat. Icon has been incredible today, and BLG will get their soul.
This has been Icon's game, and if Icon can keep performing at this level, I mean, my God, it's so exciting, completely running over this game with the Azir when other members of BLG have kind of been struggling, and they're just looking for the end.
They needed to be 2-0'd by OMG today if they were going to not make playoffs, but BLG show up in game number 1. A slow and steady win, but under 30 minutes, no less. The Nexus falls, and BLG, a late resurgence here in the LPL, but keeping their playoffs hopes alive.
Yep, you nailed it. We said at the start of the day, OMG needed to 2-0 BLG for BLG to be eliminated, so even if for whatever reason they can't pull out the series win, we'll still be able to keep going with a goal in mind. But right, this was a slow burner, not a lot happened. It felt like OMG gave them a lot of breathing room in the early game, in my opinion. Like, we were kind of speculating about some of the action we could see, specifically around both top and mid. And sure, Aki did try to put emphasis on mid lane ganks. Icon just did a fantastic job at playing around all of them. Seriously, like, my God, the situations he escaped from that game were mind-blowing. Yeah. And then with that, we never really saw them able to do anything else. They never really tried to force top off of, like, Sejuani ults. We didn't see them aggressively maybe invading the enemy jungle or trying too hard to force for Rift Heralds. And BLG were just in their comfort zone. They were getting to chill. They were getting to vibe. And again, the heroics from Icon just cannot be understated. He really did have a phenomenal game.
There is no universe in my mind where Icon gets Azir for game 2. Like, that cannot be allowed with how he performed in game number 1. Like you say, not just in the team fights, but during that early laning phase as well. So many times could have been caught. A worse player would have gone down, but Icon managing to outplay it. And then the fight around Dragon, flashing over the wall to go literally 1v4 and take 2 kills. Unbelievable. Completely denies that Drake. And then, you know, later on, Azir does Azir things, and Icon stepping up to be the hero for his team.
Yeah, and right, I mean, you look across the board, and it's like, yeah, Bin didn't really have much of an impact. It was kind of mostly just playing by himself. Really, the only impact he had was that counter-strike coming through. Doggo, the numbers show that he had a huge impact, but getting caught out quite a few times. It really did just come down to the mid laner. Crisp had some good moments, some good ults, but yeah, I think this one is very cut and dry. I honestly think if Icon hadn't performed to the level he did, that OMG actually could have won this game from the trajectory that we were seeing things go. But OMG, I mean, it just really felt like that early game. And then the fact that the one pick came onto the Zeri, it's like, okay, this is really your big damage dealer, your only hope of even being able to take fights off Able outplaying. And without that, you don't really have anything left in the gas tank.
Yeah, felt like a tough one for OMG. And honestly, for game number 2, I want to see more aggression, really, across the board. And granted, there was a lot of bans trying to deny that aggression from OMG, but I want to see Shanji on something where he can look for solo kills more aggressively. I want to see this bottom lane on something where they can be more aggressive too, because having to go up against the Sivir and the Yuumi, they did not have any pressure in the bottom side. They didn't have priority in the early game. They didn't have kill threat later on. Felt really, really tough for them across the board. So OMG really needs to change things up in the draft for game number 2. But BLG, potential for the late resurgence. They win game number 1. And I'm excited to see if they